It's more than just your output, more than a bike. When you hear your shout out, you know it's all right. Put on your magic pants and let's go. We're cruising into the power zone. Clip in, set yourself free. Come on and take a ride with me. You know what you need to know and what's it all about. Everything you need, it's on the Clip Out.
Welcome to the Clip Out Podcast, episode 311. This is Crystal O'Keefe.
Oh, now I'm going to have down stuck in my head.
Why?
Because it's by 311.
Oh, that's why I didn't say 311.
You should have said, well, it doesn't matter.
You still there?
It's still in my head.
Well, what do you always do at 3:11 p.m. or a.m.? Do you not have that same time frame? Do you not?
I smoke weed in honor of
That's 420.
SA and Peanut from 311.
Their names are ridiculous.
311 likes the weed. I don't know if you know that or not,
Sure.
but they do. I don't, but they do.
Is that why there's a doobie on our poster? I just said doobie.
Do we have a 311 poster?
Don't we?
I don't think so.
Who am I thinking of in the hallway? Oh, well. Let's get back to the show.
Deftones?
No, definitely not.
George Clinton. Mm-mm. He's probably got one.
No. We'll look later. We'll look later. Okay.
Okay. Oh, and I'm Tom. You
They
either
know.
already know or don't care.
Yeah, that's fair.
And either one of those I'm fine with. So we are 2 weeks out from
Oh my God.
our trip to Disney, which means we're 3 weeks out from our meetup in Orlando.
Yeah, June 9th.
June 9th at Splitsville,
Yes.
which always makes me think of my ex-wife because I'm like, welcome to Splitsville, population you. But
Your ex-wife will not be there.
no, thankfully. So we're going to be at Splitsville, which is the bowling alley there, but it's like a hip, trendy bowling alley because it's Disney.
And it's at 6 p.m. Starts at 6 p.m. local time.
Okay. So we hope you come out and hang out with us.
Yeah, we'd love to meet you.
We'll finally tell you which poster had the pot leaf on it in our house.
If we can find it. If we remember that long.
Yeah.
Because after we record these, it's a bit exhausting. One of us
because
is
our
usually...
memory is bad because of all the pot.
And I'm going to go with, and my brain injury.
Yes.
I know you love hearing that. It's not that bad. I'm way better than I was.
No, you've been doing great actually. So yeah, we hope you come and hang out with us, and I will be high on pot. I'll be high on Disney.
Yeah, you will.
Yeah.
And sugar.
And sugar, because I will have been
5 days in at that point. You will be.
I will be on a non-MetPro binge.
Yeah. We'll probably be like stretchy pants.
Angelo will just be somewhere curled up in the fetal position, knowing the damage I'm doing.
You guys, this week when we recorded with Angelo, he had gone to Disneyland with his wife. And so he was like, listen, I did an experiment with Ashley and we ate at these two places and we didn't gain weight. So it's possible.
Yeah.
It's like,
I'm like, slow your roll, buddy. You were there for 36 hours. Like,
oh, Angelo, that's cute.
yes. Pat. So anyway, what, pray tell, do you have in store for people this week? Anything big happen?
No, I don't think so. I think it was kind of a boring week. Yeah, a major rebrand. I have been dying to talk about this. So I'm so glad we finally get to announce it. Yay!
Yes. So yeah, because you've known it was coming for a little bit.
I have.
Yeah, they talked to you about a good portion of it.
They did. And I am so excited about this. We'll get into it. We'll get into it.
So, and
Oh yeah.
there are other things.
Well, along with the relaunch, there's the Row is now on the app. That's huge. We're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about this new Peloton Gym thing, which I also got to test. So I'm going to tell you all about that. Also, we're going to talk about the recall and what's going on with it because there's updates, not to mention the Tread Plus recall. We have a visit from Dr. Jenn. We are going to discuss a specific person, why they keep losing and regaining weight. Dr. Jenn had a lot to say about that. Whole bunch of in the news from the instructors. Not to mention, we have a visit from Angelo and we talk about how to lift heavy when you don't have a spotter. And then we're going to talk about all the things Peloton related, including a past guest update and a bunch of in case you missed it.
Awesome. Well, before we get to all that, shameless plugs, don't forget we're available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google, iHeart, TuneIn, wherever you find a podcast, you can find us. While you're there, be sure and follow us so you never miss an episode. Maybe leave us a review. That's super helpful as well. You can also find us on Facebook at facebook.com/theclipout. While you're there, like the page, join the group. We're always posting different things in there throughout the week. Keep you up to date in between episodes. If you see stuff you like, you think your friends should know, maybe click share on it. That's super helpful as well, whether it's a news article or an episode.
Oh, yes. And don't forget that we have the submit a tip function over on the website, theclipout.com. Just go submit a tip. We've got a lot of good stuff coming in there.
For sure. And you can also find us on Patreon, patreon.com/theclipout, where for a little bit of money, you can get bonus content. You can get the episodes early. When we get them early, you get them early. You can also get them entirely ad-free. So people seem to dig that. You can also find us on YouTube at youtube.com/theclipout, where you can watch these episodes. And finally, don't forget our newsletter at theclipout.com. So let's dig in, shall we?
We shall.
Peloton in the news.
Peloton this week, as you have probably heard, has announced a complete rebrand and changing in pricing structure for app users only.
Yes.
Calm down, equipment owners.
Yeah. Good point. Where do you want to start with this? There's so much going on with this rebrand.
I guess let's treat it like dating, and let's start with how it looks.
Swipe left. Yeah. What a great point. Okay. So first of all, Peloton released a brand new 90-second commercial. I have to tell you guys, when I first saw this, like I was like just so smitten with it. And like I was gushing about it to Tom. I was like, oh my God, this is amazing. I love that you see movement everywhere. You see real people everywhere. I love that you can see what the app looks like in the commercial. I love that you see real people using the equipment at home, outside, in their dirty garage. Mike, like I have a dirty garage, you know, like anywhere you have room, it's great. And my favorite part, I think, is how they show all of these people doing the moves on their screen, and then how it relates to the moves in real life. So, for example, lifting a weight over your head translates to a person lifting their baby over their head. I love that. I also love the guy in the locker room meditating, because that's real life, man. That's real life. And this chick shadow boxing, I just adore her. I do. She looks like such a badass. So I can't say enough good things about it, but I think that the things that you guys want to hear is, what does this mean for Peloton? This means, to me, that now Peloton is finally getting to show the inclusivity that we have felt as the members for years. We have felt like it's a place for everyone, that Peloton can meet you wherever you are. And I think that this commercial shows that. I really do.
Well, and people have said for years, why don't you see more real people in the commercials instead of either instructors or models?
Models, yeah.
You know, not to say that regular people can't be models, but you know what I mean. Don't turn it into that. Mm-hmm. And so I do like that aspect. You certainly see people of what would appear to be all different socioeconomic stratuses as well, just based on the environments in which you're seeing them. So I think that's a smart move, because, you know, people like to make fun of Peloton as being for rich white ladies, and it really hasn't been for a long time. And yet, and if you go on Twitter, which I don't know that I'd advise, but it's a lot of snarky about that. Like, you know, they're so dumb. And it's like, I think the thought process is, well, we've scooped up all the rich white ladies, like, right? Like, we've maxed out. And when it comes to what their original goal was, regardless of the stock price, they have exceeded anyone's expectations. And now the path to growth is to become more mass appeal. So the thing that I wonder long term is just the idea of, I like the including real people, but I hope that this isn't a permanent pivot away from focusing on instructors, because I think ultimately that's the brand and that's what differentiates themselves from something like Apple Fitness, is that Peloton has honest to God celebrity instructors and nobody else has that. Nobody else has that.
I don't think that it will, because, as recently as the last earnings call, Barry said that the instructors are the crown jewel of the company. I don't think they're losing sight of that. I just think that they want to make it known that it's not just for rich white people, but also they want it to be known that it's not just a bike either.
Right.
They want to highlight that there's rowers, there's the tread, that you can use weights, you can do yoga and bar and all of the things, and that you can also do it anywhere. You can be part of Peloton without having the equipment. For a long time, even the community was like, well, if you don't have a bike, you're not really part of Peloton. There was a time it was like that.
Yeah, I mean, I remember when they first started doing the app that there was this real kind of divide of, oh, you're just an app user.
Yeah. And I feel like the community has come past that. I really do.
I think it's twofold. I think one, I think a good chunk of people realized that maybe they were sounded like a douche. But I also think as there are more people who have the app, there's more people to push back, and people probably, it's like anything. The more people that you have in your life that are doing that thing, the more you tend to be open to it, right? So people probably were like, well, I have the bike, but Cheryl at the office uses the app, right? And they stopped saying things like just uses the app and started saying uses the app, right?
Yeah.
And so it's I think that's played a role. And originally the app sucked.
I mean, yeah, it was really plain. It's come so far. So has the whole company.
For sure.
I mean, it was just a bike back in the day, and now it's so much more. And I'm just glad there's finally ads and commercials that show it's so much more.
Yeah.
And that really get that point across.
Yeah, for years the app was a legit afterthought. And apps are difficult to build and have them be robust. And so it took them a long time to get it up to speed. And I definitely think this is part of the Netflixification of Peloton, right?
Yep.
Like I think that
they've said that on earnings calls too. Like, hey, we're going to go after this segment of the population because we have said we're going to reach 100 billion users or whatever that amount is.
Yeah.
And this is a huge way of how they're going to do that. So more to come on the pricing of that, but that is why they're going after the app users.
Yeah, let's dig into the pricing thing, because I will say I think that the pricing adjustment was a bit aggressive.
Yes and no.
I will also say I think the pricing of the app has been underpriced for a long time. And so I get that they want to bring it back in line. And I also get that they don't want to pepper people with price increases where it feels like they're upping the price every 6 months or every year. So I think what's going on was there was a certain amount of like, let's rip off the Band-Aid and just get to where we want to be, and then we can leave it alone for a while. Because I do think in all the complaining that you've seen about the price hike of going from $12.99 to $24.99, I think people are losing sight of two things, which is one, if you pay up front for a year, it works out to $20 a month. So that's not doubling it, like people keep saying. And two, it wasn't that long ago that it was $19 a month.
And that's what I wanted to talk about.
Yeah.
Exactly. It used to be $19 a month. And so it really is only a $5 increase for people who've been around for a while. Not to mention another really key difference that people need to really think about is when you have an all access membership, you can have several members on your membership. If you have the app only, and you're paying for that. You have one member. So in other words, if you have several people in your household, you might be better off getting the all access membership because you can have more people included.
Oh, I think that's a really good point. I didn't realize that. So if you've got a husband and wife on it, or a husband and husband, or a wife
or
and
whatever,
wife, or husband and wife and husband,
however you guys roll.
Yeah, whatever. Like you could share that cost and might actually be a net gain for you. I also can't help but think, as people love to share Netflix passwords, if maybe people, once they figure that out, if two friends at work are like, well,
I don't think
let's go
you
back
should.
and forth.
Well, first of all,
I didn't invent that, right?
No.
Like, I don't think I'm really blowing anybody's mind
of course not.
with that.
But it's a lot harder to do now because
sure.
I don't know that, since you don't use the equipment, I don't know that you really realize if you want to do that, you have to activate the bike every time you do it. So let's say we had two different bikes in two different locations and I wanted to use it, I would have to then activate the bike. Then you would have to.
I didn't mean the bike. I meant if you said you could have multiple people on an app membership.
Oh, no, you still have, but you can't. That's the thing. The all access is tied to owning a piece of equipment.
Oh, I thought that was the name of the.
No.
Sorry.
So let's start at the beginning because you kind of jumped way ahead there. I'm irritated. We got to stop back at the beginning. Okay. So first of all, there is app free. Okay, so that's $0, and everyone's annoyed about this because it only, and I put that in very big quotes, it only has 50 classes curated around 12 modalities. So this is perfect for people who are just trying the Peloton app
sample
out.
It. Yep. Like I don't even understand, like, what's the free thing now?
There isn't one.
Right. So shut up.
I mean, I think you get like you do get a very, very small amount of classes, but it's really small.
And it sounds like the goal here, though, too, is it's not going to just be like, here are 50 classes and they never change. That the idea is that if you were utilizing the Peloton app free, that at least the content's going to cycle.
Mm-hmm. That's exactly right.
Yeah.
Yeah, they said it will have a rotating set of featured classes that will be refreshed on an ongoing basis. They didn't say how often, but it is going to rotate. So like you take all 50 classes, you want to stick around, you can. That's an option for you. Yeah. And I think this is also good for people who don't have like a place in their home. Like maybe a student living in an apartment and maybe a dorm where they can't bring a Peloton into. This would be a good way to add on to maybe the student gym. Like this would be a good way to do that. Then you have the Peloton app 1. Okay, so this is for people who don't have a piece of equipment and don't necessarily want one. So you've got strength, meditation, outdoor walking, yoga, and everything that's included in the free app, the free tier. Plus, you can take up to 3 hardware-based classes per month on cycling, tread, and row. This is the part that people are losing their mind over. Yeah. So this goes to $12.99 a month, $129 a year. And then I also think it is important to note you can also have access to challenges, programs, and collections. Now, if you're a person that likes to do, let's say, Andy Spears Total Strength 60, that's a really good deal. You are then focused on taking this program, this collection of classes. That's amazing. Now, let's say that you want to go up from there. Now we talk about the most expensive tier, which is what you were talking about. This is the Peloton app Plus. This is everything on the app. No lane break, no scenic classes, but you get everything from the free app, everything from app 1, and you get access to thousands of equipment-based classes for any indoor bike, treadmill, and rower. It also gives you exclusive access to the classes featuring the latest specialty content. So let's say all for one classes, you'd be included in that. Even though you don't necessarily have any equipment, you'd still be getting that.
Okay.
So back to your point, $24 a month or $240 a year. This is the one that I think is the best value for a single person on the app. But if you have multiple people in your household using it and you want all these things, it could make more sense for you to get a piece of equipment and pay the monthly fee. That's what I was trying to say. Okay,
I see what you're saying. Especially now that there's so much equipment on the secondary market, or you can get a refurbished bike,
or rent one.
It's not like bikes are, $20 $2,500 like they used to be. I mean, certainly if you want to buy a brand new bike and have the warranty and all that, for sure, but or for a Bike Plus at least. But if you have multiple people in your household, I think that is a very, very good solution.
And also, I think people need to remember that it's not only is it not doubling it because it used to be $20 a month, but also people have been screaming they want rower content.
Yeah.
You got it now.
Yeah.
Okay, so you have to pay more. Yeah, you have to pay more. They have to pay for all these instructors. And don't forget, those of us who have the equipment have been paying $40 for a long time.
On the flip side, that's a complaint people have had for a long time, which is, I bought a piece of equipment and I have to pay more. I should pay less because I gave you all this money up front.
Right.
And so, people have had that complaint for a long time as well.
Yeah.
So I get that it's sticker shock. But so here's my question for you.
Sure.
Can you just buy a guide and do an all access?
You can. That's a great question.
So if your goal is to split memberships with people in your household, you could just buy a guide.
Why would you not do that?
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, that is an excellent point, Tom, because it's considered equipment. And then you could get the all access and then you could have everybody in your home. So like, I really do think, I know that there are people that are just like, really upset about this. And anytime there's change, people are upset. I don't care if it's the best change in the world. But if you look at it as a whole, I really do think that you can find a good solution that fits for your household and for your amount of people that are using it. Like, really, it would make more sense for me to just have the app, honestly, from a pricing standpoint, because no one else in the household uses any of this stuff. But that's never going to happen because I like having all this stuff.
Well, yeah, because you want the metrics to go along with the bike and things like that. So
and listen, that is something that's important to me, and I put a priority on in our budget, and so that's not a problem for me. If it was a problem, then I wouldn't do that. I would go to the app.
Right.
So I'm not like saying people have to do that or they should do that. I'm just saying there's a lot of different ways to look at this. But I think when people calm down and they get past the newness of it, I think a lot of people are going to end up just staying with what they have. And they have until December. Like, they don't have to do a thing until December.
Yeah, these prices don't go into effect until December 5th. And if you have already purchased if you already purchased the annual pricing under the current model, that lasts until your cycle comes to a conclusion. So
I think those are really important things.
Absolutely. Nobody's getting booted off of the deal that they already signed up for.
Yeah.
Which is good.
There's a lot of upset people on both sides of this. Like you said, people who've had equipment forever are tired of hearing the people complain about it. They're like, my price went up. The people who's were paying $12.99 per month, they're really upset that it doubled. And I can understand when you just say doubled without taking all the things into consideration we just talked about. It does sound kind of whiny. Once you take all those things into consideration, it's like, okay, I get it. And now I'm better educated about it. And hopefully a lot of people will feel good about it. I don't know. Based on what I've seen in the past from Peloton users, they get really upset, they get really loud, and then they end up doing it anyway.
I think that's what they're banking on. And I think again, it's part of the Netflixification of Peloton, which is Netflix raises their membership fees, everybody screams bloody murder, and then most of them stick around. And now I will say Netflix has had multiple price increases, and I think that they're starting to exhaust people, and they are starting to see their numbers decline because of that. But I don't think that they necessarily see that on the first one. And I saw an article the other day about when Netflix raises prices, at least for the first few years when they were doing that like 70 to 75% of the people who dropped the membership had it for less than a year.
Oh, so they were new and they felt like,
And it was, people, and it was also people that weren't as baked into the system and hadn't really enjoyed the content long enough to be like, no, I really need this to stay in my life. And so it'll be interesting to see if Peloton sees a similar number. My guess is Barry thinks they will, because at the end of the day, would you rather have 100 people giving you $13 a month or 75 people giving you $25 a month?
Well, here's the deal. And I mean, Barry has flat out said this on earnings calls. You want to have members who make sense that are going to make sense financially for you. So if you can't afford this, and that's fine, like no one's knocking that. If you can't afford these new numbers, none of them, then you probably aren't a good fit for Peloton.
Now, the flip side of that equation that is a bad look is that they launch a campaign about how inclusive they are.
That's fair.
You know?
But there's a free tier.
Right.
I mean, no, it's not everything for free. Of course not. But it's there.
Yeah.
Like, and like, if you don't have the hardware to be able to take any hardware classes at $12.99 a month is still a good deal.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I think that this is a good example of, you know, all of the instructors are always saying things like, make sure you know your worth. Well, Peloton is saying, here's our worth.
Yeah. And their content is way better than anyone else's.
It is. Like other people were saying, I'm going to go to Nordic Track. Okay, you go to Nordic Track. That is not as good of content. It's
not as good of content, and they don't have as much, right? Like I bet you their full membership probably looks a lot like App One.
Exactly. Exactly.
And so like that's you're going to get very frustrated. And it's like the thing I always say when somebody mentions another platform, name an instructor.
Right. You can't. I mean, there are people that have favorite instructors in other places, but
for sure they exist.
They're not on the same level Peloton is. They just aren't.
Yeah.
And in some ways, to be honest, that's too bad because I kind of miss the days when the Peloton instructors weren't all up there. So
yeah, I get that.
It was a different time, I miss it.
But at the end of the day, I get what they're trying to accomplish. I get that they need to adjust their revenue, and I think they know long term. I think the thought process is they don't make that much money off the equipment purchases. I mean, certainly they get people to do the more expensive membership when they do that, but that it's the selling equipment was never really much of a profit point for them, and so I think they'd rather drive people to the app. And also, I think they know if they can get people into the app, whenever it comes time to buy a piece of equipment, they'll eventually capture them. Because if you've been using the Peloton app for years and you decide I'm going to get a bike for Christmas or a rower or whatever, I can't imagine that person wouldn't make the leap and actually get the Peloton branded equipment.
Yeah, I mean, for the most part, again, if it's a financial thing, then you're never going to. You just can't. That's just not in your
for sure.
You can't do it.
Yeah, but people's circumstances change as you know you get out of school and you get your first grown up job.
But either way, I still think take that out of the equation. There's still more people that are going to join the app.
Yeah.
By doing it this way. I mean, I think there's a lot of people who are predicting this is going to mean we're going to see a lot of people leaving. I disagree. I think you're going to see more people added. We're going to see a churn for sure. There will be people that leave, but I think long term, you're going to see more people added overall. That's just my take.
It will be interesting to see. Like I said, I see a lot of people screaming bloody murder. And I think the next thing you'll see people scream bloody murder about is when, the way I understand it, when the discounts for like first responders and nurses and teachers, it only applies to App One.
Oh, I did not know that.
At least that's the way it appears on the website. Oh. And so I'm not the best at it, as we heard in the earlier part of this conversation, but that's the way I understood it. So I think when people figure that out, you will have more upsettedness. But things people are digging is the fact that row classes are now on the app.
Yeah, so many people were excited about this yesterday. This is pretty much, from what I can tell, the first thing that hit people's apps. And Peloton, they must have known that it was out because the banner started appearing everywhere on everyone's app saying Peloton Row is now in the app. And it was so exciting to see the rowing instructors. They were like, I get to teach my first class in the app. Like they were just so jazzed about it. And everybody in the community that's been wanting to take classes with these instructors that have different brands of rowers, they were so excited. So everyone agrees on that.
Yeah.
And that's something everyone's happy about. So I'm really, really glad to hear that.
Absolutely. And finally, for the rebrand stuff anyway, the episode's not over. But they have also a new feature called Peloton Gym.
Yeah. So Peloton Gym, what it is it it basically, you can take strength classes that don't have any audio or video component to it. It does have an instructional video if you don't know how to do the move, but that's it. It's not like you have Andy Spear leading you through the moves. You just have a set of moves that you can do. The brilliant part about this is now you can do it on any piece of equipment. So if you go to a gym, like, I don't know, 24-hour fitness, you can do the classes there.
Or you're traveling.
You go to a hotel and they have just strength equipment, dumbbells. You can do it there. You could do body weight stuff in your hotel room. And it doesn't even require as much data. So like a lot of the classes that have all the video and all the audio, like it sometimes if you're traveling, it's really tough to get those to play. And especially if you didn't remember to preload, not everyone can preload. So then you're sitting there like, I can't take the class. Now you can, because it takes very little data because there's no audio and video. So I think this is really, really cool. You basically start the class, you start going through the moves. And then whenever you're done with like the block, you just swipe to go to the next one when you're ready. That means you can build in your own rests. They'll tell you, oh, this is a 15-minute, this is a 20-minute, this is 30-minute. Well, that's only that length of time if you follow the rest intervals they indicate, the amount of rep counts they indicate. But since it's you versus your machine, you can move past it faster. Maybe it's not timed and you do 10 reps of something really, really fast, or you don't want to take the rest. Keep going. You can make it faster. And I love that about it too. It's very versatile. Not to mention the fact that you can, since you can use this anywhere, if you have certain goals that you're trying to reach, this is a great way to add in the strength without trying to search for classes. Sometimes that can be really tough to be like, oh, I want to take a upper body class, but I want to work on the chest and shoulders today. We'll try finding a class like that really, really fast. It can take a while.
Yeah.
So,
and I think this is a great idea, because you're hearing so much about people who are going back to the gym, and this is a way to capture those people and still keep them in the world of Peloton, and maybe get them to pay for an app membership that they can use on gym equipment. And a lot of people like to go back and forth. It's not either or. They might have a bike at home, but they still want to go to the gym for the pool or the Nautilus machine or what have you. So I think this is really a really good idea to make it something you take outside of your home.
Agreed. I totally agree. It's a great addition to what's already been a great app.
Because you got to play with this for a couple weeks before it got announced, right?
I did, yeah. And this was around the same time that we started talking to the marketing team, Leslie Berland's team, about the new commercials. So like when people talk about how long this stuff has been in the works, long before they started talking to me about it. So
for sure,
they've been working on it for months and months and months. And I think it's really exciting. They've put so much attention and thoughtfulness into it. And I know that you guys can't be... They can't necessarily come out and say the things, but like hearing the excitement from the marketing team, how excited they are about it, that makes me even more excited. And to hear the pride in their voice about capturing what they feel like users want, and I agree, by the way, it's just really nice to see. It kind of got me back to like old Peloton day levels of like, yes, this is so exciting. And it's fun to see all that. Same thing with the Peloton Gym. People have been really excited about it.
So I guess it's 2 weeks ago at this point, they announced the recall for the Peloton bike seat post. And last week we noticed that they were starting to ration or prioritize who's getting those seats. And some people were upset about that because
it's the internet.
But they're prioritizing it. As we saw with the Canadian recall, which we talked about last week, that in Canada they were allowed to acknowledge, we assume, that this was primarily affecting people who were over a certain height and over a certain weight, and so because of that, they were inundated with people wanting the replacement part, which is good, but they're in the short term prioritizing who gets it based on their height and weight and their user profile. So the people who are most in danger of the seat not working
are prioritized to be first.
Get it first.
Which makes perfect sense.
Makes perfect sense. When the plane is going down, right, you put the mask over your own face and then your kids. So,
but what I love about this is because some people feel a little entitled
yes,
to be first. There are people that went into their profile and started changing their height and weight so that they could be first.
Could get to the front of the line. But in a rare instance of Peloton seen around corners in terms of how their members would react, they had said in their announcement, we're using it based on your height and weight in your profile from yesterday.
So all those people doing that wasted their time.
Yes, and good.
Yeah. Cracked me up.
Yeah, like you don't need it as much as the other people, so let them have it.
Right?
Oh, goodness. So last week, right after we got done recording, or like the next day, they announced that Tread Plus, the CPSC, had finally approved a fix that they could take to market, a rear guard cover, and that is coming out for people.
It is. And so you can order it now. It's probably going to be available in November. If you still have a Tread Plus, which it doesn't seem like a lot of people do because they've all returned it to get their money back and now they're complaining because they want it first, that they will come out and fix it for you for free. So that is cool. You should have gotten an email. If you didn't get an email, I recommend, and you have a Tread Plus, I recommend that you reach out to customer service and ask them about it. I also would like to point out that the pictures that Peloton used show a slat belt that is offset from the end of the Tread Plus. That is not the way the rest of ours look that we have at home. I would ask everyone to remember that these were probably mock-up pictures, and they might even be mocked up on the new Tread Plus that hopefully is coming to market after the recall is done.
Yeah.
So I suspect that we will see that come to market. I mean, I know it's coming to market because Barry said it was going to be back.
Right.
But I think it's going to happen after the recall period closes. So I'm hoping we're going to hear about that in December.
It would almost have to, right? Because if they let people... If they announce the sale of the new tread, people would just return it and buy a brand new one.
Which I have said since day one.
So like it would make no sense for them to do that. The only way that could conceivably make sense, and this will probably be the case, is that the new Tread Plus is going to cost more. Yeah. Right?
Yeah.
And
I'm guessing $5,000 to $6,000.
Yeah. But so then, you know, it might be worth doing and like essentially getting a newer tread for $1,000 or $1,500 or whatever it works out to be. But I just don't see them doing that. I feel like they're going to let that return period expire and then they'll announce the new and improved Tread Plus because they're just going to get the last few sent back for no reason.
I agree. There's no incentive to do so.
None.
But either way, it's great that it's being fixed.
Absolutely. And coming up after this, we're going to talk to Dr. Jenn. We have a listener who wants to know why they keep losing and regaining and losing and regaining the same weight. So stick around.
Getting the psychological edge with Dr. Jenn.
Joining us once again via the magic of ZoomTube is Dr. Jenn Mann, licensed marriage, family, and child therapist and sports psychology consultant. You may know her from VH1's Couples Therapy with Dr. Jenn, her VH1's Family Therapy with Dr. Jenn, or her long-running radio show, The Dr. Jenn Show. She's written 4 best-selling books, including The Relationship Fix, Dr. Jenn's 6-Step Guide to Improving Communication, Connection, and Intimacy. It's Dr. Jenn. Hello.
Hi.
Hello.
I have a really tough question. This is a person who wished to remain anonymous. She says, it is a she, I will tell you that much, that she has been... Okay, I'll just read the letter the way she wrote it. Dear Dr. Jenn, I'm hoping you can help me with something that has been an issue for several years. I'm fabulous at losing weight. I have lost weight between 60 and 80 pounds 4 times. I am terrible at maintaining it. I go 4 to 6 months really, really strong. And then sometime in there, I just stop and throw it all in and regain all or most of the weight until I can't stand it anymore. And then I start the process all over. I don't understand why I do this. I feel so good and I feel so much better, especially because I have 2 autoimmune diseases when I am eating healthy and getting in my exercise. Do you have any insight into why anyone would self-sabotage like that and how to break the cycle so I don't do it this time?
How many hours do you have? This is very relatable. I think that so many people go through this. I think it's very identifiable. And I want to really normalize what this person will call her Jane Doe, what Jane Doe is going through, because so many people go through this. And to me, this is indicative of a few things. One is that it sounds like whatever she's doing is too extreme, that it's not something that she can maintain. And what it's doing is it is creating this deprivation rebound effect. And that happens a lot of the time when people go on a diet to lose weight and then they make changes. And look, you know me, I am vegan. I love fruits and vegetables. I'm all about the microbiome. And at the same time, I'm also a huge fan of intuitive eating. And part of the whole thing about intuitive eating is that all the studies show that if you deprive yourself too much, then you tend to lose control around those foods when you are exposed to them at a later date. So what's happening is that she's being so restrictive, it sounds like, that when she has gotten to her goal and is starting to kind of relax a bit, that very normal experience of, oh my God, we all want what we can't have. So all of a sudden these foods become, there's more energy on them, and it's harder to be in control around them. And so you're more likely to overeat with them. And also, if you have been too severe in your diet in your attempt to lose weight, you may have slowed down your metabolism. So the weight's going to come back on even faster because you may have been under eating and over exercising to get where you were going. So I think that it's really important to do a reevaluation, what allowed you to get that weight loss, to really look at it ideally with a professional, someone who not only has an understanding like a registered dietitian of weight loss, but who also understands that kind of yo-yo dieting and that kind of deprivation rebound effect. Ideally, someone with some understanding of intuitive eating who can really help you to find kind of a more moderate place to come from, and also to kind of help you with the psychology behind it. Because also the other issue is that if, let's just say, and I don't know if this is someone who was overeating and that's how she put on the weight, or if she's someone who just has a slower metabolism or some health issues that have made it so that her natural set point weight is higher than what she would like. But let's just say she is someone who was using food to calm her emotions or using food as an emotional resource or to soothe herself. What happens when you take that away, if you don't learn new skills to replace that with, then you're going to go back to using food for those things. So it's really important. She may want to work with a therapist who has an understanding of eating issues / eating disorders in order to develop new tools in her arsenal. If you're not using food to calm yourself and soothe yourself, what are you going to use that's healthy and not destructive? Because it's very common, I see a lot in my practice, when someone takes that away, well, then they start drinking, or they start using weed, or they start acting out sexually, or they start gambling, or they start shopping. And it's kind of like that whack-a-mole, like you solve one problem and a new one comes up if you haven't really addressed the underlying issue. So we really want to make sure that if there are any underlying issues where she's turning to food, that those get addressed.
Yeah, I was thinking when you started talking about it from that prism, it does sound a lot like someone who maybe has some sort of addiction issue, and when they're white knuckling it, like, I won't drink for 6 months, and then the 6 months is up, and they're off to the races.
I'm like that with food. I am totally like that with food. I mean, if I have chocolate, it's like, there's not just like I have a piece. Like, it's hard. It's really, really hard. Ugh.
And I get that, 'cause I was once like that.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I've talked very openly about that. I had an eating disorder for 10 years. And, you know, the first part of it was overly restrictive. And then it was a lot of kind of yo-yo back and forth, overeating, binge eating, under eating, all that sort of stuff. So I get it. Like, it's very, very common. I wrote my doctoral dissertation on this. And also, she may want to check out my app that's based on that doctoral dissertation called No More Diets. That's all about using the hunger scale, all about really tuning in and checking in with your body so that you are feeding it and also not using not using food to feed your emotions.
Absolutely. She does sound like she could really benefit from that. So,
Absolutely.
well, thank you so much for all that. Until next time, where can people find you?
On all social media at Dr. Jenn Mann, 2 N's on Jenn, 2 N's on Mann.
Wonderful. Thank you.
Instructors in the news.
It was announced this week that Allie Love is joining the Today Show.
It sure was. And she is going to be doing, I can't remember the name of the segment, but it's something with love.
I was going to say something with love?
Yeah. It's like, Mornings with Love. That's what it was.
What would happen if her last name had been Smith?
I know. She would be in trouble. She would be in big trouble. Yeah. And so the Mornings with Love is going to follow. It's going to talk about things like mindfulness and meditation. And then she's also going to be in the third hour with Hoda and Jenna. And of course, I love the headline. I'm proud of myself for this. Okay.
But
I guess she'd been wanting to do this for a long time. It had been a dream of hers for a long time.
Clearly, with the other things that she does in her life, hosting Dance 100 and being the spokesperson or whatever, the in-game host for the WNBA. Yeah, she clearly wants to do this sort of stuff. And so I that's a good place to land.
It was just a weird quote to pull and put right in the title.
Yeah,
that's all.
Yeah, I don't disagree.
Yeah, just a strange one.
Yeah, but it's interesting, the Peloton instructors' career paths, because so many of them have this sort of media background and they kind of fell into being coaches, and now how many of them are pivoting back in some capacity or attempting to pivot back.
Well, I just think it's funny that Jess Sims is also on there. So I'm like, what's that going to look like?
Yeah, for sure.
Like, what if one rating tanks and the other doesn't, or vice versa? Like, yikes. That could get ugly.
Cody Rigsby was featured in People magazine.
He sure was. And he talks about his single life, his single era, because everybody's on eras now, after his failed relationships. And part of that is what he's going to be talking about in his upcoming book, XOXO Cody. And so they just kind of got into a little bit on that in the People interview. So you can check that out in our newsletter.
Puma launched a capsule collection featuring Olivia Amato.
We had talked about this coming, that it was going to be coming soon. Just wanted to point out that it has launched. So if you haven't already gotten your Puma gear and you want to make sure you get it, then you should. Also, it has OA on all of the clothing, so you can make sure and be branded with Olivia if you want to show your support.
I thought it was for the planet that Green Lantern was from.
No.
Oh.
That's a different thing.
There's like one nerd out there that's like, yes,
that makes sense.
Bustle.com talked to Rebecca Kennedy about the benefits of hiking.
Yeah, so Rebecca Kennedy does a lot of hikes on the tread, but you may not know that she also does a lot of hiking in real life.
Can you hike in real life now?
Yeah. Believe it or no, you could do that before you had a treadmill.
It's getting so popular that people are doing it in the real world, like Pokemon.
Yeah, I know. It's just crazy. I think they can even catch Pokemon while they're hiking. What? I know. But only
the future is now, Crystal.
What have you been looking at on your internet browser, Tom? What kind of smut is that?
It's Calzedonia, Italian legwear, and beachwear.
I'm just kidding. But what is happening with the straps on that? I don't understand. Like, is there one on her arm? Is it like keep it attached? What is happening?
This is from their new hostage collection.
So it keeps her connected to that cactus next to her. Everyone likes to walk on the beach in a bikini next to a cactus.
Yes.
So anyway, back to this. Rebecca Kennedy.
Not all sand is at the beach.
Rebecca Kennedy talks about, though, that how great hiking is for your mental well-being as well, because walking is healthy physically, but walking on an incline is also, and so is just getting out in the outdoors. So she talks a lot about all the physical benefits and the mental benefits of it. Good little article.
Jess King is now officially a professional DJ.
And there's that.
According to EDM.com.
I don't even know what to say about it. She announced that she was doing it a couple months ago, and now there's a whole article about it. So I didn't read this. That's why I don't have a whole lot to say.
Yeah, but she's now available for weddings and bar mitzvahs. If you're,
I really doubt it.
if you're looking for one,
I really doubt
I
it.
guess it depends on how much you want to spend on that wedding and or bar mitzvah.
I'm pretty sure she's doing things like what are all the festivals called? That's what she'll be doing.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Kendall Toole was on the Chicks in the Office podcast,
Yep.
which is part of Barstool Sports.
Yep.
So it's about sports.
If you can't tell, we don't care.
We love the sports around here.
Right. Oh, somebody snuck this in. This wasn't me. I didn't do this.
Emma Lovewell was on the Sports Business Radio podcast
She was, and she was talking about sports
and business.
on the radio. Yeah. We just don't have a lot to say about sports. Sorry, guys. Listen if you want to know what Emma had to
Yeah,
say.
so if any Kendall Toole fans were mad at us thinking we were sliding her, now you can hear we don't know shit about sports and we don't care.
Right. It's just not my thing.
Yes.
We told you it happened, so you can go listen.
And while we're making the podcast rounds, Jenn Sherman was on a recent episode of Dear FoundHer with Lindsay Pinchuk.
Yeah, and so I read a little bit of the transcript.
Mm-hmm.
She's specifically talking about how she's been on Instagram lately and like her learning process, her learning curve of Instagram, because she does not like Instagram, didn't use it at all. And now lately she's been using a ton of it. So she talks through that process and she talks about like some things that she found comical that she was surprised at. And so if you are a person who posts a lot on Instagram, I think you will relate to what she had to say. And I will just leave it at that.
Okay. Well, now I'm intrigued.
Yeah, it was.
She doesn't talk about sports, does she?
No sports.
Okay, then maybe
Why do you think I read the
then
transcript?
maybe I'll listen. Well, but you read it, but you didn't listen. So I'm just trying to figure out.
I found this one today,
Yeah.
so I probably would have listened if I had had more time. But we had a deadline, Tom.
Yes. It's like Saturday Night Live. They don't go on because they're ready. They go on because it's 11:30.
That's right.
Cheddar talked to Robin Arzon. Just more roundups of all the different places the instructors are at. If you wanna check it out.
And this one was just like a walk and talk. They just kind of did some, just kind of like general overview information, and it was pretty short. So I didn't read this one either. She's been everywhere lately. Give me a break.
She is definitely getting her money's worth out of her publicist,
Yeah.
for sure. So some sad news from the world of Matty Maggiacomo. His dog Luther passed away.
Yeah. So I know some of you may not know this because depending on when you joined Peloton, but Matty was in a relationship with Aronson, and they had adopted Luther together when they were together. And then when they split up, Matty still had like visiting rights to Luther because I mean, I just thought it was really sweet that they made sure that they both got to see Luther. And so Matty posted today that he had passed away. And I'm really sad about that because Luther had his own Instagram account that I just loved. And I always would show Tom, look at Luther, look what he's doing. That dog had such a personality. It was so funny. And this just makes me sad.
Yeah. I liked Matty's last line of his Instagram post where he says, sleep well, it was your favorite thing to do anyway.
And I love that of Matty's sense of humor.
Yeah, for sure. On a more upbeat note for Matty Maggiacomo, he will be taking part in Los Angeles Magazine's Pride Cocktail Brunch.
That takes place on Thursday, June 15th at 11 a.m. local time in the Abbey in West Hollywood.
And he'll be on there with George Takei, a name I know because I am a nerd.
And Trixie Mattel, who we often see over in the Peloton world. And I believe Cody had on his Laugh Out Loud show.
Gotcha.
Whatever. And then I'm not familiar with Derek Warburton or Luciana, but there's some people that will be there as well. It's a panel discussion. So congrats to Matty.
The Clip Out.
Joining us today once again via the magic of ZoomTube is Angelo from MetPro. He was just telling me the interrupting cow knock knock joke.
The ever forgetful.
Yeah.
The MetPro. We're going with it.
Okay, let's do it. Okay, so Angelo, we have a question here that I can't wait to hear your answer to. It is from Kathy Nash, and she says that she is looking for safe, heavier weight workouts to do alone at her age. She's 60. She does not want to get injured, but she lifts heavier weights. Like for a chest press, she's doing 125, but she can no longer start that move by herself, and she doesn't always have a spotter because she's at the home gym. What should she do?
Girl, Kathy, I love hearing that.
Buy a tonal.
That's what
Yeah, tonal is great for that because you get the self-spotting feature.
But she doesn't have room for a tonal because somebody suggested that in the comments and she added info.
So there is some benefit to the free weight experience, which it sounds like she's using and you're accustomed to it. So likely, Kathy, you're an advanced lifter. So you continue doing that with the free weights. That's great for you. Even as you reach your mature years, it's still a great way to stay healthy and strong. So this is actually a question I get asked often, and I do have some simple recommendations. The first one is just apply common sense, and you don't need to be maxing out all the time to get a lot of the benefits. So simply adding a couple reps to your working rep range will usually make the difference between that, I can't quite get it off the bar myself, and being able to handle it yourself. So that's one strategy. Another strategy that I like even better is to utilize tempo work. So there's a few ways to increase intensity. So you can lift a heavier weight. That's the most common way. I'm going to add intensity by lifting a bigger weight, more load. But there are other ways to add intensity. You can also increase the amount of reps you're doing. Of course, that does impact your physiology a little different if the rep range change is dramatic, but it does create intensity. The third way to increase intensity is to work in a different range of motion than your muscles are accustomed to. And so usually that's accessory work where you're not doing the big ticket, squat, deadlift, bench press type movements, but you're doing more auxiliary movements. So that could be like a fly or a bicep curl or things along those lines. You can use a little bit lighter weights for those. And then the fourth way to increase intensity is to decrease your rest. So you do have to be cautious of that still without a spotter, but by decreasing your rest, you can still keep intensity in your workout. You'll get a little bit more cardiovascular effect, but you won't have to use quite as much load because with decreased recovery, you're not going to be able to lift as much weight. A fifth way you can increase intensity is using tempo. So a real classic tempo is 3 seconds up, 3 seconds down. So you can apply that to squats. You can apply that to bench press. In fact, most lifts that you perform, you can apply that. And what it will do is it will enable you to, with a much lighter load, maximally fatigue those muscles through the complete range of motion. So for things like bench press, Kathy, I would highly recommend, if you're used to doing sets of 10 or sets of 8, use a lighter weight and do a 3-second count down, 3-second count up. You'll be amazed at how that will challenge you. And then save the heavier loads for those occasions when you do have someone that can give you a spot. So,
or if you want to show off.
Or if you want to show off.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So this list isn't exhaustive, but there's just a few quick ideas on ways that you can increase intensity. One last one just came to me. If you have obviously a squat rack, Kathy, rearrange your workout so that way some of the lower body accessory work is actually the heavier load work. So for example, a step up, not a high step up, not something where you're stepping up into something really high where you can lose your balance, but a very modest step up, like maybe an aerobic step or something like that. Very functional lower body workout. add some weight to that. It's a movement you can really challenge your lower body without having to use a weight that you would require a spotter for. Then after you do that, you could go over and do your squats and your traditional barbell work with lighter loads because you've already pre-fatigued those muscles, and you're going to get a very similar beneficial effect. So just a few little quick tips that you can apply, Kathy. I hope that helps.
Those are great ideas. Thank you.
Absolutely. All very actionable. I had a quick question, a follow-up, and maybe you addressed this and I missed it, but when you were talking about have less rest time, did you mean during the workout, like get back to your next set faster, or did you mean have less shorter rest days in between actual workouts?
I meant during the workout. Instead of maybe 2 minutes rest between exercises, reduce it to 1 minute, reduce it to 45 seconds. If you really want to get cardiovascular burn, you could reduce it to 30 seconds. You're going to have to dramatically lighten the loads, but you're going to get a cardiovascular effect while you're doing your strength and conditioning.
Awesome. That's good to know.
Yeah.
That is.
Well,
Great question.
thank you for all of that. If people would like this sort of advice tailored to their own fitness journeys, where can they find you?
MetPro.co/TCO.
And I think that's also a wonderful reminder that MetPro is more than just food, right? Like we talk about the
Absolutely.
food a lot, but there's a lot of expertise there that's not just food and nutrition based.
Very good points.
Thanks so much, you guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Peloton artist collaborations.
The latest artist series features the Jonas Brothers.
Yeah, this is another band I just don't know much about.
They had that one song that was all over the radio that I actually was like, oh, I don't care about the Jonas Brothers, but I like that. I don't remember what it's called. I just remember it was on the radio all the time, and I liked it.
That one song.
That one song. It was
Thank you.
relatively recent, like when they did their kind of big comeback thing.
Well, I know a lot of people love them. This is
Yeah.
another
Oh,
band
sure,
that
they're huge.
they're huge. I know there's a lot of stuff that people love. I'm just not familiar with it. So I'm glad that again, as I always say, I'm really glad that they have a wide variety to have music for everyone.
And it's not an official artist series, but they have a couple classes centered around Lewis Capaldi.
So did you do any research about...
He's a singer, and
Okay,
apparently
thank you.
does lots of silly things on the TikTok.
Yeah.
But he's a singer, and I think he's kind of known because he does not sound at all like his voice. He does not sound like you would expect him to sound when he sings. Like he was a startlingly good singer.
One of the people that they just walk up and they look all like,
How is that voice coming out of you?
Yeah.
Yeah. And
it's like if I had a good voice, that's what would happen.
and well, if I had a good voice. But yeah, he like the little bit I saw, it was like, I was like, this is really good. I was not anticipating that. I was not familiar with him. I don't know if it's a thing that like, because I'm more of a rock guy and it's something that like the kids are into, or if it's a British thing and maybe he's just bigger there than here, because I'd never heard this name before, but people are going crazy for it. But they've got two classes coming up, with Ben Aldis, and there's a stretch, and he makes fun of the fact that if you see the guy, he's not the sort of guy that you would think of as fit. Like, I mean, he's making fun of it himself. Like,
Yeah. He's not like a hard body is what Tom's saying. Yeah.
And he's
Not saying he's not fit. He's not fit, but
more
he's
like me.
Yeah. Yeah. He's like a regular person.
Yeah.
But yeah.
And I get the feeling that he doesn't do Peloton normally. And so he like went and took a class because he was like, oh my God, I watched a little bit of the video and he seemed like, oh my God, I can't believe I'm in here doing this. So I got the vibe that he's not a regular Pelotoner.
Got it. Okay. Well, I also have heard that there's like some of his songs are like incredibly touching. That's just based on what people have posted over in the Clip Out group. That is just like amazing. And he's just awesome.
Yeah.
So
I will say from the little bit of video I watch, I'm like, he seems like an insanely likable dude.
well, that's great.
Yeah.
Peloton celebrity sightings.
Going from one Lewis Capaldi story to another. Apparently, I don't know, he might not be going back to Peloton usage because apparently he hurt his junk on the bike.
Whoopsies. Whoopsies. You gotta protect the junk.
You do have to protect the junk.
I love that he said, my goods are sore. I had a bruised gooch.
I don't know if that's just something he says or if that's a British thing.
I feel like it's a British thing.
I don't know.
I'm going to need our British listeners to reach out to me. You guys know who you are. You always Instagram me. I would love to hear what you have to say about this.
If that needs to be translated into American for us. But
I don't think I need a translation. I think I got it.
or I guess more, can it be? Or is that just a thing he likes to say?
Okay.
Is that something that collectively as a culture you've decided to call your nuts?
Okay.
Yeah.
So you do know. You don't need a translation.
Well, yeah, no, like I said, I can.
It was just funny the way you said it.
I can read between the cheeks as to what's going on there. So I also think, because people always complain about the bike seat, I
just thought that was your butt, though.
I think he's probably maybe exaggerating a little bit.
Okay.
It's probably not as bad as making it out to be, but I don't know. I think he seems like he likes to just be silly. So that's what my gut's telling me. That's what I feel that all the way down in my gooch.
Good for you, Tom.
Yes.
Past guest update.
So we have a past guest update from Stephen Little, who's also a former Peloton instructor. He has a new business venture out there.
Yeah, he met a new girl, and so I had a feeling this would happen, and it did. So they have started Range Performance. You can get one-on-one coaching, and you can figure out all the things that you need. I will say Stephen Little is definitely good at helping people reach their goals. If that's something that you want to do, like the one-on-one coaching, then he's a good person for that.
People like newer members or even not so new members, because it's been a while since he left. It was quite a few years ago at this point, but like he was in the world of Peloton. I feel like he was maybe their first big rock star for the community. Like people loved Stephen Little.
Yeah.
And they were super upset when he left.
Definitely.
So if you've heard about Stephen Little and you've never gotten to take a class because they've all been purged at this point, this is a way for you to go out there and interact with him. We also saw him selling his Peloton.
Another one. Because he sold his first one. He sold his first one way back when, but now he's selling another one.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was funny.
In case you missed it.
So Peloton Studios has put out their This Week in Peloton post. And Crystal will now walk you through it.
Yeah. So, of course, the Lewis Capaldi classes, and those were out this week. We also have the Asian Pacific Islander History Month that I always say it wrong. We have those classes. We also have the dance classes, the In the Club classes with John Husking. And I'm not sure what the CRO series is. Artist series. What is CRO? I don't know what that is.
Maybe they're German because it's got a DE after it.
It does. Yeah. It's a CRO artist series. So I have to say I am not familiar with that. They're all German instructors, though, now that you say that. So interesting.
Yeah. It's a CRO artist series, German language.
Oh, fascinating.
There we go.
Yeah. Very cool.
Also, Adrian Williams is celebrating 3 years at Peloton.
Happy anniversary, Adrian. I can't believe it's been 3 years.
I know. Where does the time go?
Peloton birthdays.
And we just got one birthday this week. It's from Jess King, and she will be celebrating her birthday on May 29th.
Happy birthday to Jess King. Make sure you send her all the notes.
And she hired herself to DJ her own party.
She can afford herself. Definitely.
I don't know. She's pretty pricey. And coming up next, we're going to talk to Eden Dranger. She is a big-time writer in Hollywood. She wrote on The Unicorn for CBS. I think she wrote for Beavis and Butthead. And she's currently not writing for anybody because they're on strike because the man's trying to keep them down. So we're going to talk to her next. So stick around.
Checking in with the Peloton community.
Joining us today via the magic of ZoomTube is Eden Dranger. Hey, Eden, how's it going?
Hi, it's going. It's been a weird week for me.
Yeah.
And a lot of other people, but it's been okay. But I'm fine.
So we should say, we'll just dive right in that you are a professional writer and the writers are on strike.
Ooh.
Yes, I'm a television and screenwriter, and we called a strike Tuesday at 12 a.m. So I've been picketing most days of the week, and I'm tired. I've had I I wanted to I did a running class in the morning yesterday before I went out to picket. And by the time I was out picketing, I'm like sunburnt. I was out picketing until like 5 and I could not move this morning.
You're like, no,
I need to.
No need to use your Peloton anymore. So
no, but
thanks for joining us.
The Peloton did not prepare me to carry a sign for 4 hours at a time.
You got to do them 2-day arms classes.
There you go.
I do them. I do them almost daily, but it does not prepare you for doing it with headwind and with honks and while talking to people, and it's very in the direct sunlight. It doesn't prepare you for. It's only 10 minutes.
I will also say, in fairness, carrying the sign is not a natural arm movement,
you have
right?
to keep it aloft.
Yeah,
it's not. And like by now, I've already like I like lean it on my shoulder, which now my shoulder hurts. But it's like I've gotten like, now I'm like so used to doing it. A lot of people, I've met some people out there on the picket lines, and it's their third strike, their third writer's strike.
Wow.
There was one in 2007.
Yeah.
Which gave us wonderful shows like The Apprentice because of it, and all this reality TV.
No.
And yeah, not to scare anybody, but and there was another one in 1988.
Yes, I remember that one. I'm old enough to remember that writer's strike because I'm 100. And one of the things I remember about that writer's strike, because reality TV didn't exist back then, and so what they started doing was they would take old TV shows and refilm them. So you had like a new version of The Odd Couple that came out, and they recycled old scripts, and they brought back they brought back Mission Impossible as a TV show, and they used old scripts. It was really fascinating.
What are they going to do this time? Do we know yet?
I mean, the things we're fighting for are like the reason why I think they're not freaking out, because they're like, now there's so much TV. I mean, I myself have so many shows I need to catch up on and I have not even seen yet. And so there's not going to be a shortage of TV anytime soon for a very long time. That's not what's important. The important is that if we don't go into production, not only do writers are out of work, actors are out of work, production crew are out of work, all the catering companies are out of work.
Yeah. Like
it just trickles down to the rest of the economy, and that's bad. And then so people are not spending as much money, which also, that's not good either. So we don't want that to happen. And of course we want writers. And the part of it too is because there's so much streaming things that you can watch now, we don't get any of it. We don't get any profits of it. It's not like in 1988 where like, if you had a rerun on a network, you got something like, I mean, with inflation, you got something like $8,000 per rerun. And that could sustain you if you're not working,
right?
If they rerun your show. But residuals for Netflix are terrible. Like I wrote on the show that was on CBS. I got a hefty residual when we had a rerun. And when Netflix took it over and started, streaming it on their platform, I got like $200 for it, for like who knows how many streams, like
right, because they don't tell anybody.
Work.
There's no external metric to gauge for Netflix. You just got to take their word for it.
Yeah, and so it's very. That's what we're fighting for, and it's the same thing for actors too. They used to live off the residuals, and now we're like not getting any of that. Amongst other, there's so many other issues. It's becoming. It used to be a career, and now it's really hard to make it a career. I myself was doing 2 jobs during, most of my writing career. So we're fighting for stuff like that, of course. And it's been very interesting to actually go to these studios where I used to work and but we've got a lot of support, like a lot of people don't realize that a lot of actors are also writers. So
for sure,
it's been fun to see everybody come out and support so, hopefully I am very hopeful we will get what we want and people will get paid fairly. It'll just take a while. I think all the writers are going to come out of this very tan with beautiful calves. So,
and some biceps
and slimming down because they can't afford to eat.
Well, no, people have been very generous. In fact, it's people have been coming up and like bringing us donuts and stuff to try to help. But I'm like, bring us like granola bars or like an apple. Like I'm gonna get a sugar crash if they just keep giving me junk food all the time. It's not sustainable. But people have been very, very like, someone just like randomly came up yesterday and dropped off a thing of Starbucks, like like one of those big like tubs, and and like pizza. And so I want those moleskin like blister pads. I need those. If anybody's like listening and wants to help, we want those. We want healthier snacks. Yeah, I know. It would be great if Peloton gave us a discount during this time too. There have been local places that have been like giving us discounts, mainly bars, because
you're riders.
Which is funny.
Yeah, it makes sense.
We're just like, who else? We have nothing to do. We're not working, so it's like might as well just get trashed and pick it. You know, but yeah, so it's been interesting to say the least. But you know, all my friends know, most of my friends know that I have a Peloton because everybody that has a Peloton won't shut up about it.
Yes, that's the origin story of this podcast.
Heck yeah.
Exactly. So when I'm complaining about, I have to walk for another hour, and they're like, dude, you do like 60-minute like power zone. Like, what are you complaining about? Stop it. You do those like 60. I did a 90-minute like endurance run, like the only one they have on the platform, and they're like yelling at me for walking for an hour. Again, to be fair, with a sign and headwind, it's difficult.
And a belly full of donuts and Starbucks.
Exactly. That's another thing too, is that like no one's feeding the like I think only Matt Wilpers will go eat a banana while he's on a bike, but like nobody else eats like while they'll also have to do it for 20 minutes. We have to do it. Our shifts are from 9 to 1 or 1 to 5. So, you know, that's a long shift.
That is a long shift.
Man, all I can think is like, what a great middle school Matt Wilpers must have gone to that he's not scarred for life about eating bananas in front of people.
Oh, yeah. I actually don't. I mean, I'm a runner mainly. I actually got a Peloton because I got injured running. And I was told I could cycle. Oh. And I had Peloton before. I was a runner on a Peloton. Like I had a really great treadmill, and I would do all the running classes and the strength and yoga classes. And then when I got injured, I got the bike. So, but I remember, you know, when I was a kid, I got salmonella, which I recommend nobody get.
Yeah, that sounds terrible.
When I had salmonella, I was so dehydrated from throwing up all the time that all they would give me was Gatorade and bananas. And to this day, every time I like smell a banana, I get like PTSD from being a kid and like being very sick. So I don't like bananas. So I usually fuel up for my runs in other ways. And I get triggered when Matt pulls up a banana for sure.
I get that. I had mono when I was a kid, and no bananas, but Gatorade. It was like nothing but Gatorade for like 3 weeks. And this is emblematic of my life as a whole. True story. First girl I ever kissed gave me mono.
That is your luck time.
No.
Yeah.
Oh
so
my gosh.
you can imagine how scared I was to have sex for the first time.
Oh yeah. That'll scar you for life.
Yes.
Yeah.
But yeah, lots of Gatorade. So do you know how you got the salmonella?
I think it must have, I still did it like afterwards, oddly enough. I was just way more cautious. I would help my mom cook all the time. Yeah. And I was like 4, and I was probably just like playing with chicken and putting the hands in my mouth.
I was just like, please,
as kids do.
Please don't say cookie dough, because everybody's always like, cookie dough will give you salmonella. I'm like, please don't say cookie dough.
I know.
No, however, I became like such a hypochondriac kid after that happened. Sure. And I never ate cookie dough after that, just to be extra safe.
That's
even like I remember once going to like a birthday party and eating a brownie that felt a little raw and sashimi-ish. And I was just like, I'm not going to eat this.
I'm good. No salmonella for me. I don't blame you.
Pass.
So you said you've been a runner. When did you get attached to Peloton classes then? Like how did you get into the Peloton world?
A little bit of I want to say like a smidgen of a pandemic crossover. I was working on my first big network show. It was called The Unicorn on CBS.
Walter Goggins.
And our hours were very brutal. They were from like 10 a.m. to 10 p.m. every day. like 12 hours. And like, I know nurses work 12 hours, but they don't work 5 hours a week, 5 days a week, usually when they have those kind of hours. And sometimes it would be even longer. We would be on set at 2 a.m. It just depended. And my fitness, I would still make a point to work out every morning.
Wow.
So I went to a normal gym at the time, and I realized that it was such a time, like so much time was wasted from me going to the gym, being there, showering, getting ready for work, driving to work, getting to work, and all that stuff, that I just like kind of wish there was something I could do at home very quickly, or like even there was so much dead time on set. We would have sometimes hour lunches. I don't know why, but I felt like, just let us go early. Like, so my friend told me she has a Peloton, and I was like, I don't want the bike or anything. Like, I'm not a cyclist. I hated spin classes. Every time I took a spin class, I wanted to leave. I couldn't stand it. And I live in Los Angeles, and like, we have Soul Cycle, all of the cycles. I was just like, I don't want to do this. She's like, no, but you can have like the app, just download the app. It's like less money, and like, you could just do these classes in between your work. So it's like, oh, okay. So I kind of did it for that at first. And I would do a lot of like the arms toning classes, and things like that. But I didn't use it really as like a main workout, but just like a side thing I could do. And then when the show wrapped, that was like February of 2020. Oh. And we know what happened in March of 2020.
Yes. Familiar.
And I was like, oh no. And I immediately bought a treadmill, and it wasn't the Peloton tread. It was a really good one that I love, and that a lot of marathoners use. It's slightly actually more expensive than the Peloton tread, but I remember my parents had one, and it lasted them. It had a lifetime warranty, which really sold me.
Yeah.
And a lot of marathoners use it. And it's got like orthopedic cushioning and everything. So I got that when it happened, and I like invested in that. And I was like, all right, I'm just going to prop my iPad and do running classes.
Let's see if Crystal can guess the treadmill brand.
Okay. Is it a slatted tread or no?
No.
Soul. Is it the? No. Okay.
It's called the Landice.
Oh, I don't know that one. I don't know that.
They're very small and niche. It's like a little mom and pop place. They make two kinds. They make the L7 and the L8, I think, and the L8 is slightly bigger. That's it.
Now I'm gonna have that song "Pretend That We're Dead" stuck in my head the whole rest of the. Because
L7. I got it.
Yeah.
Sorry, 90s alt rock.
Oh no, I was born in the 80s, so I get it. But yeah, I love it so much. It's not cheap. I tell people, if like you're not a big runner, don't invest in it. But it's almost $5,000. If you love running, and I love running, it was a good investment, hands down. And I just did the classes, and then I got injured. Oddly enough, I got injured not running. I got injured wearing flip-flops and like walking upstairs one day.
No.
And like I tore something, and I had to wear a boot, and for like 6 weeks. And when I was out of the boot, I was like, I need to do cardio, dude. Like, I'm so desperate, please. And they're like, well, you could ride a bike. And I was like, all these people love the Pelt, so I just like try the bike. And if anybody out there, I mean, again, if you just like have the home trial for 30 days, you bought the bike. No,
yeah, that's why they do it.
I would love to know who actually buys the bike and just is like, nah. Like,
I know, day 29. All right, I'm good. I'm sending it back.
Yeah, you know what? I had my fill. I'm good.
People in a vacation home.
There you go.
That's exactly. Yes.
I'm sorry. My house in the Hamptons. I know. I decided I don't like this bike. Please come retrieve it.
I know. So, I mean, at the very least, it's a wonderful place to hang your laundry. Lots of places to put it. Like, more than a normal bike, I have to say. I think there's more handles and stuff.
Yeah.
Yes, there's lots of...
And the screen swivels if you get the Bike Plus, so it's like a little rotator for the clothes. You can
Oh, I would
put it on the bike, on the weight rack thing, on the back.
I would be so upset if somebody hung clothes on my bike. I would be so upset. I would be mad.
I'm going to start hanging clothes.
So my setup, it's funny. I don't hang clothes really, but my setup is, so I have a room, which is my gym, and like I have a treadmill and then a mat where I can do yoga and weight stuff. And then a little further down, I have my treadmill. So if I'm on the bike, or if I'm on the treadmill and I wear a jacket and I get hot, I put it on the bike. That's the only way
That is acceptable.
And vice versa.
That is acceptable.
And an item of clothing.
Yes.
That's
item. And it's while you're working out. That is totally acceptable. Yeah.
Okay, good. Yeah. Yeah. So, once I got the bike, and like, to be like honest, I've tried taking some of the scenic classes and even like the lane break games. And I don't like spinning. Like I don't like cycling. I like cycling outside, but like on a stationary bike that goes nowhere, I need an instructor and music to tell me what to do. Like
that's interesting. I would think the scenic part would maybe help since you like to be outside for it.
Yeah, I'm lucky that I live in a very
scenic place.
Yeah, like I live I'm in the hills in LA, like not like Hollywood Hills or anything, nothing bougie. Like people come to my area to like hike. It's very scenic and pretty. Yeah. So like there's plenty of areas. So like I'm spoiled. So like when I go on the bike, I'm just like, nah.
I got enough of this today.
I did the real thing.
Yeah,
when
exactly.
Done the real thing, and then you do like a screen. It's kind of like
that's fair.
It's
like
feel the same way about
coffee and getting.
Yeah, no, fries. I feel the same way about porn.
So we live in St. Louis, Missouri. So there is one scenic ride on the Peloton for St. Louis, and it's just a bridge. It's the saddest.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
It's the saddest thing you've ever seen.
And then at the end, he gets mugged.
I joke with my friends, my Pelo friends. It's funny because I have friends in real life who I'm also part of this. I'm part of a subreddit of Peloton users, and I can explain why that's such a sub in a minute. But like, and they're my Peloton friends that I usually will take a class with and hold me accountable. But then I have like what I call my real life Peloton friends, who's people I know in real life who also have a Peloton.
Yep.
And I joked with them that I think we need a scenic route of Cody Rigsby in Disneyland or Disney World, just like and not necessarily a Disney ride,
right?
Just like a scenic route where he just tells you what's going on.
We used to have this game for the Xbox that took place at Disneyland, and I would literally just go in and just walk around as a character, like just because it was funny. It was like they really mapped out the park, and so you could just walk around and look at Disneyland. It was fun.
I also think it would be funny if Cody did that, because I don't know if you saw his video he did at Epcot Center where he went to each place and he was like doing a tour of his drinks. So
like
that could be a game. That could be a thing. That would be a fun. Yeah, that would be a good Peloton ride. That would be a great scenic ride.
I have friends that really don't like cycling at all, and all they do is just Cody Rigsby classes because it's all they can handle. And like grown ass straight macho men.
Yeah, that's funny.
Or so they claim.
They hate cardio and they don't like, but like they love Cody Rigsby and they love that they just like, and they don't even necessarily like the music. I don't like Cody Rigsby's music that much, but he's just very entertaining. I've been wondering too if he has writers.
Well, the Peloton instructors do have people that help them write, so that's
really?
That's a thing.
Oh, I hope they are. Yeah, they're probably not in a union.
Yeah,
but
she's like, I hope they're on strike too.
Well, they're allowed if they're not unionized, but.
Yeah, I don't know the behind the scenes that well. So I don't know.
I have so many questions.
Well, my guess is that they're not though, because if they were unionized, wouldn't they have to get a credit?
Oh yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah, and if they were unionized, they'd have to get health insurance too, and there would be a minimum. They'd have to get paid. It would be a whole thing.
Yeah,
I don't know. Peloton's a very weird space. Like I don't even know. Like it's kind of is like Netflix for fitness. you know, in a sense.
The one that got the same CEO now, right? Or this guy that used to be.
Yeah, that's true. Barry McCarthy. Yeah.
So it's, it's interesting. I don't know what you would even, like, if you work at Peloton, are you considered a screen actor? Like, I don't know. Like,
they've invented a new medium in some ways.
People haven't figured that out. Like, those details out yet.
It's interesting.
So whenever you started working out on Peloton and you got your bike, and did you find that you were having to actually like balance the two once you were over your injury? Like, did you want to get back on the bike, or do you still have to like make yourself get on the bike and you always pick the treadmill?
I mean, it's interesting. I'll go through, like, I definitely will not run every day. I would love to run every day, but my knees don't love to run every day. My body should not run every day. Nobody should run every day. It's not healthy. So I kind of use it as a cross training tool. Like, I used to do like, all right, 2 days of tread stuff and then 1 day bike. But lately it's been more like a little bike, a little tread. If I have a big bike day, if I do anything on the tread, it'll just be like a walking class. Like, I might do, like, lately it's been a lot of like, I'll do this 30-minute. Lately it's been really hard to find the motivation to even get on.
Yeah.
And I blame that just like on this, like, I'm just a little depressed with everything going on with the writer's strike and just like other stuff. And it's just getting myself on the bike has been like a process. So like, I really try to take live classes.
Yeah. They're more fun and engaging.
Yeah. But like, live classes, it's like not always the length or the kind of class you want to necessarily take. So like, I'll take a 20 or a 30-minute class, and then I'll supplement that with like a 30-minute hike or a walk and run or a walk. I usually don't do a run and a ride unless the ride is like super short. But yeah, I definitely balance the two. I kind of have a rule though that if I'm doing any bike ride, I have to do arms and weights, because it's like, it's right there. It's 10 minutes. Just
do right there. I love that. That's good.
No excuse. Unless like I have to go, But yeah, so, and then like I've been trying to do more yoga. I've been kind of bad with it lately, but like today I have the time today. I'll definitely do it. Yeah. So like, I'm trying to, I definitely balance it. And I go through bouts where I like to run a little more, and also periods where I bike a lot more. Like there have been times where like I haven't been fully injured, but I could feel one coming on. So I'll be like, I'm going to lay off running and just do more bike stuff this week.
That's smart.
So, yeah.
So you have this super fancy kind of secret tread. So do you come from a family of runners, I suppose?
No, not really. I mean, honestly, I did not like running in school. I'm short. I have short legs.
Same.
I mean, I went to when I was like a kid, like elementary school, I went to a tiny private Reformed Jewish school in LA, and we didn't even have a gym. We like would play like handball, like on the side of a building, and we would run laps around our school. That was our...
I thought private schools had all the fancy stuff.
Huh?
I thought private schools had all the fancy stuff.
No, not this private school. We were like not that well funded. But then when I got to high school, we had like a real gym, also a private Jewish school, but we had a real gym. But like, we didn't have a football team. It was weird. We didn't have a football team. It was very bizarre. But I also was not very athletic. I really loved playing basketball, but I was not very good at it because I was so short. So I didn't make the basketball team. So I wasn't able to become athletic. And I just kind of always had this like kind of bitter, I liked to be active, and I was always in dance. I was a big dancer, and I did like ballet and jazz and everything. But I just like actual fitnessy sport stuff. I didn't call myself an athlete until like much later in life. I only started to run like in my 30s. Like when I turned 30, I was like, maybe I should start like running.
It's interesting that you love it that much though.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. And I'm actually really inspired. Like a lot of the instructors, like Susie Chan is like an ultra marathoner and only started in her late 30s. And I'm like, that's amazing. it gives me hope. Yeah, now I'm 35 and I've done already 2 half marathons. I don't think I'll ever do a marathon because like that's a lot. And that becomes a science experiment.
It seems like they suck you in. Like people are like, then you do a couple of the halves and you're like, well, maybe.
You know all those Peloton friends you talked about, both online and in real life? Yeah, you'll be doing one.
They're
for
bad influence.
They are.
No. I really don't think so. Because they think I'm a serious athlete. Because like I smoke them on the bike and everything. I have pretty good numbers. Like I'm not to like, I don't need to, like, I know I have pretty good output numbers and I know my bike is like, but I think it's just because I've because of like my dance training days, I've like very strong legs and very, very, also now that I'm just like walking every day on the picket line, my calves are just rocked. So, like, I think just, I come from a very athletic kind of like, I was athletic before, so my endurance was always up, but like I definitely am more athletic than any of my friends. And I'm the one who's pushing them to do stuff. Like, oh, would you do this half marathon with me? It's not that hard, I promise. I'm like, it's 13 miles. I'm like, actually 13.1, but it's not a big deal.
That 0.1 means nothing after you've done the 13, right?
I know. And yeah, like I was trying. I mean, it takes a lot. I do 60-minute classes like at least once a week on the bike, and it takes a lot. I have to like really, and I want to do it with people, with my friends. Like, it takes a lot of energy and convincing to get them on it, but they never regret it. So
exactly.
Yeah, when she runs her marathon, that's the only time where I'm like, can I hold your purse?
Yeah,
that's good.
He's a good supporter.
Yes.
He's a good athletic supporter.
Yeah, that's the thing. Yeah. I don't have any support. So
You will.
I'm curious, how did you embark on a career as a writer? That's not an easy way to make a living.
It's still not. It's not easy now. That's why we're striking, because it's so hard to. It's really. I tell people it's really hard to get your foot in the door, and it's even harder to stay like that.
Yeah.
Keep your foot in the door. Kind of like I don't know. When I was a kid, I wanted to be an actor, and I lived in LA, and I tried to get my parents to drive me to these auditions, and they did not want me to be an actor. They were not very compliant, and I never got any part, so it didn't matter. But I was involved in theater, and I liked it a lot. And when I went to college, I started to do improv shows and a little bit of stand up. And stand up, that's basically writing your own material,
right?
And I was trying to get jobs as an actor, but I wasn't really getting them, and I also wasn't really liking the material that was available, and I didn't like the characters and everything. So I just thought, like, I could probably write something better than this. And I started to, like, and there's not a lot of money in being a stand-up comic, like, unless you're, super famous. And
unless you really hit, and you got to do it for 15, 20 years in most cases before you're good enough to pop like that.
Right. So, and I honestly don't have the callous to do that. Like, I just not, and it's also very hard when you're a woman, because you have to go, it's like, and when you go on tour, which is honestly, or on the road, where you really, that's where the money is. Like, in LA, you have to do it for free. But like, if you go people will pay you to come to some town in
like St. Louis, you can say it. Yeah, we know.
Yeah.
No. Like, I don't know, like Bakersfield like in California. Like, they'll pay you to do that. But then you have to like go to an area you don't really know, and it's kind of unsafe if you're a woman traveling alone. And it's a grind. It's a grind. And it's hard. So I didn't really want to stay that way, but I loved writing my own material. And I started a Twitter account where I would just put one-liners on, like, just stuff I didn't know what to do with. And it got kind of big. And a director, a big producer director, followed me on it and sent me an email from my website at the time. He wanted to have a meeting with me. And a general meeting with me. And general meetings are pretty common for writers. And I had no idea what we call them generals. Like, I had no idea what that even entailed. So like I dressed up and like put on like a nice outfit, like, which is like, you're not really supposed to, it's very casual. Like,
Yeah.
and like he's been one of my heroes. Like I've, he directed Bridesmaids,
Oh,
and
Paul Feig?
yes, Paul
Yeah.
Feig.
He actually liked
So-
one of my tweets the other day. We've been
Good.
watching the new WKRP in Cincinnati, like the sequel series that they did in the 90s, and he's on it.
Yeah.
wow.
He's like just starting out as an actor, and I'm watching him like, why do I know that guy? And
Yeah.
with the credits, I'm like, that's Paul Feig. How about that?
Well,
Yeah, he was an early adopter of mine, I guess. And
That's awesome.
it is.
He's great.
yeah, my first meeting was with him, and I like came in with like ideas of like movies he could write, but like he was like, well, what I want you to write about yourself and what like you've gone through in your life and stuff. And I think all it takes is someone you really admire to tell you can do something,
For sure.
for you to even try. So he kind of, I never actually ended up writing for him or working directly with him, but he still follows me on Twitter and still supports me.
That's so cool.
But it took him telling me that to try. And eventually an exec who also followed me on Twitter asked me if I have any samples of work that I'd written, and I sent him a script I wrote, and he sent it to his friend who was an agent, and then that was how I got my first agent. And then that kind of snowballed to my first job. And then, once you kind of get your feet wet, it's a little easier, but like, again, it's really hard.
Yeah.
So, but after that first job, I got, I made more connections, and I got my second job, and so on and so forth. And yeah, so kind of, but yeah, I don't even know where it came from exactly, but, and a lot of, it's not a normal trajectory. And I tell everybody who wants to be a television or screenwriter that it's kind of like breaking out of jail. Like, there's a way to do it, but like once you do it, they'll make sure there's no one can break in that way again. Like, it's very difficult and weird and hard. And I mean, there are some people that like become writers assistants on shows, but I know people that have been like writers assistants for like 10, 15 years and like never really are, but mostly because they're good at it, and it's really hard to get a good assistant.
Yeah, you're so good at the mid-level thing, no one wants to move you up.
Yeah.
I tell a lot of aspiring writers who are assistants to like not be too good.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, because you get trapped.
Yeah. But I feel bad. I never was an assistant. I would have been a terrible assistant because I'm actually a very slow typer. So like, if anybody, like, so when you work on a TV show, you're not actually, unless like when you go off to write your script, usually, yeah, you type that. But like once your script is like turned in, basically it gets rewritten to death by the writer's room.
Yeah.
And we all just like sit around a table, and it's like projected onto like a TV or a screen of some sort. And there's an assistant who's at the computer typing everything that we're talking and saying, and like putting it in the script. And so like actual writing on a show does not involve a lot of typing. And if you're a writer, at least.
It's like Mystery Science Theater. You're just yelling at a screen.
Kind of. We just kind of lay back and like talk to each other.
Yeah.
But you have like there's two people. So there's a script coordinator. They do script stuff. And then there's an assistant who takes notes of everything we've done that day, and what people said, and jokes that were good and jokes that worked. So I always joke I would have been such a terrible assistant because like whenever I write a script, I write it and then I go back and I'm like, oh my God, it's so many mistakes. I'm I'm so bad at this. Ugh.
Well, that would have been a good career move, you realize now, though.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, well.
Because you'd have been too bad to keep in that position. So they'd have been like, let's just have her write things.
No, I feel so bad for assistants. They get paid so little and they have to work twice as long as we do. And we work a long time, and they don't even have they kind of have a union, but not really. It's not, no, part of what we're fighting for even is like to make it easier for assistants too.
Oh, that's cool.
That's good.
And also if anybody is listening and like wants to help out, I would not people are asking, can we donate to the Writers Guild? No, we have plenty of money. It's not like we have the Writers Guild is very like organized and have a lot of funds to help writers if they need loans. But there is a foundation for basically the support staff, for assistants and, writing coordinators. And they're the ones that need help.
Oh,
Because, yeah.
well, that's nice
That's
of
good.
you.
Like,
That is
in
good info
general,
to
if
have.
someone wants to help, don't necessarily like. I'm actually really impressed. The Writers Guild has like $3 million in like resources to like help writers that need loans to like so they won't lose their house.
Oh, that's awesome. I mean,
we're
that's
not
the advantage of a
working, yeah.
union. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so again, why it's good to be in a union.
Yeah.
They'll take care of you. But yeah, so I'm worried about the support people. But yeah, that's kind of how I fell into writing. And honestly, I'm scared I won't be able to stay in it because like I don't know what else I could do. I feel like it's all like that and like Peloton.
Yeah.
Like I would love to be a Peloton instructor. I don't know what I would teach. I probably teach a running class, but like I hate talking while running,
That's problematic.
That is going to be a problem. Yeah, that's going
which
to.
might be bad.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it's funny because I mean, I don't know, like I always fantasize. I was like, I would do this class differently.
Maybe walk and run classes would be good
There
for
you
you.
go.
Yeah.
That's good. Yeah, I could
You can
definitely do that.
Punch up a scenic run.
There you go.
Yeah, I know. They need it.
So do
Scenic
you?
runs. There's some other rides that need some punch up, okay, like actual rides.
Yeah.
Oh, dang. she's
Gloves are
throwing
off.
down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So do you have
Knives out.
do you have a favorite instructor?
It's really hard. It's kind of like choosing your favorite child, I think.
Oh, I know
kinda
which one it
depends.
is for me. It's easy for children.
Okay. Oh, for children?
Yeah,
Oh.
that's they all know. They all know. Yeah.
Okay, so for all for like the platform as a whole, or for each like
You can
modality?
do each one.
However you wanna
Each
do it.
one.
Okay, well for cycling, I like Hannah F. She's probably my favorite, and then for running, I really like Matt. I love Matt for running. Like he's a really good. His music playlists are very chaotic, but like he's a really good running instructor, and I feel amazing. I feel very energized after his runs. Yeah.
Interesting.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And what is your leaderboard name?
Oh, so it's my name. So it's EDEN_eats, EATS.
Okay.
Awesome.
Okay. And it's okay to share with people? Like you're okay if people follow
going
you?
out there.
Absolutely, yeah.
Okay. Just
Okay.
making sure.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for taking time out of your day and your picket line
Of
Yes.
course.
to
Yes.
join us. Before we let you go, let everybody know where they can find you and all your things.
Absolutely.
Yeah, you can find me on Twitter, which is basically usually a lot of jokes. So it's same name as my leaderboard name. But lately it's been just like depressing, like very inside baseball strike content. But maybe it's funny for you. Like, I don't know. Like it's kind of funny. I try to make it funny and relatable to other people. Occasionally there's a Peloton like
That's how I found it.
sneak in. Yeah, occasionally I'll sneak in a Peloton frustration in there. You can find me there. You can find me on Instagram, same handle. Yeah, come follow.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for talking to us. We really
Thank
appreciate
you for
it.
having me.
We
So
do.
good talking to you guys.
Well, it's been a blast and good luck with everything. I hope all the,
Thank you.
the strikes
Yes,
go well
absolutely.
and in your favor. So
Thank you. Thanks so much.
thank you. You have a good rest of your day.
The Clip Out.
So I guess that brings this episode to a close. Until next time, where can people find you?
They can find me on Facebook at facebook.com/Crystal D. O'Keefe. They can find me on Instagram, Twitter, and the Peloton leaderboard at ClipOutCrystal.
And you can find me on Twitter at Roger Kubert or on Facebook at facebook.com/Tom O'Keefe. You can find the show online, facebook.com/The Clip Out. While you're there, like the page, join the group, and of course, don't forget our YouTube channel at youtube.com/The Clip Out. So that's it for this one. Thanks for tuning in. And until next time, keep pedaling
And running.
and rowing and apping.